Three, two, one. Welcome to From the Logo, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host every Tuesday, the greatest of all time, the Tribal Chief, whatever you really want to call me. You just better acknowledge me as such. ZZ Huncho, alongside the womanizer himself,
Talk about it.
Canada's finest, Jalen Carter. Talk to me.
Appreciate
How you
you.
feeling? How you feeling, bro?
Feeling good. It's a nice summer hot day today. We got the GOAT playing basketball today.
Steph Curry, yeah.
LeBron James, Steph Curry, 12th greatest player of all time, outside the top 10 for sure. But it should be a great day playing basketball. Love to see it. Baseball's going on for all you baseball lovers. Shout out my guy Ticket, made his return to the panel.
Yes, sir. I peeped
bringing
it.
the energy, bringing the vibes, bringing the views. Hey, the numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie. Shout out Ticket for doing this thing, man. And feeling good.
Feeling good. Yes, sir. So we got a lot to talk about today. We already pissed off somebody 29 minutes before the show even started. Jeffrey Duvinston, great name. The Lakers aren't dunking no one. Everyone made it a talking point because they lost to the Nuggets, but not once they brought that up. Interesting. Dudes do anything for ratings. Look, I'm not suggesting that the Lakers are going, not Jalen's precious Pookie Woogie Bear is not going to throw a game just because he knows for a fact that if he gets that inevitable matchup with the second seeded Denver Nuggets, he's getting sent home expeditiously.
That's cute. That's cute. That's
Laker
cute
fans know it. Laker fans know it. Jokic knows it. He probably doesn't care, but it's just another day in the office for him. He looking up and seeing Anthony Davis guarding him, and he gonna hit some step back behind the head 3-pointer with the shot clock going this butter every time. Jalen, you think we should start there?
We can start there. Look, I understand. The media has been saying, the Lakers maybe should lose this game because they have a better record against OKC than Denver. Obviously, we understand the struggles with Denver last year. But I'm gonna tell you this: Lakers in 6 against Denver. That foot of LeBron is not hurt. The way he's hooping, the way Anthony Davis is hooping, D'Lo's still giving them buckets, Rui giving them buckets. They are doing their thing. Austin Reeves is still him. Lakers in 6 over the Nuggets. The way LeBron's been playing, he's going to show out. We're not worried. Jamal Murray, we know we're going to hold him down this time. Last year they did use the pick and roll to kind of take advantage of D'Lo and his defensive shortcomings. But I think this year actually D'Lo's defense hasn't been as bad as last year. It's actually been a bit of an improvement for D'Lo, so got to give him credit for that. But I just also think that Jamal Murray isn't necessarily playing at the level that
he will. He will.
I mean, hey, if he does, all the
playoff Murray is a different Murray.
Yeah, I hear you. I just think LeBron is playing better than last year. I think we can understand that too, right? He's definitely going to be better than last year, even though he was one guy that showed up in Game 4. Anthony Davis, still, again, he's the guy that's going to show up. Give me the Lakers playing well, hot at the right time. I think they take care of business tonight. It was interesting, though. Vegas came out and they had the Pelicans favored, which is real weird. Vegas had the Pelicans favored. I'm like, hold up, 100 on the Lakers winning. So that seems a little off, right? So Vegas knows more than me. Vegas, I'll tell you that, they know more than a lot of people. They might they might have heard some whispers through the grapevines, but I still got the Lakers over the Pelicans today. We saw what they did in the last game of the season. Even though I think Brandon Ingram will be out of his minutes limit, so he'll play a little bit more. But I expect the Lakers to kind of dominate. They exposed J-Val right away, and which is why J-Val got benched without even playing 10 minutes in the pick and roll. Anthony Davis should dominate that. LeBron should dominate facilitating again. And if D'Lo, Reeves, and those boys can make their shots, they made all their open looks against New Orleans. I mean, it should be a good win for the Lakers today, and wouldn't expect anything less than a great performance by the GOAT himself.
So, Gifted, you came in perfect timing, brother. Go ahead and introduce yourself again to the people who may be new. This is Gifted.
What's good, y'all? What's good with everybody? Welcome to From the Logo. We do this show on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. and on Sundays at 1. ZZ, are we live on playback right now or no?
That is a good question.
I'm gonna check.
Yeah, go check. Somebody check.
No, we are not. Not today. I think we will be live though. We'll be having our Sunday shows. Yep, Sunday shows on playback chat. We're gonna be on playback. Rocking with us. interacting with the comment sections. Come through. Gift gonna do his film session thing, breaking down plays. Gonna be doing that while he's eating his onion rings. It looks like. So we're gonna be doing our thing over there. So tune into Playback. A lot of the shows are over there too. Great place to be. Definitely tune into Playback. We'll be on there too.
Yes, sir. I had to fix the brand. My bad. I had to fix the background.
Yes, sir.
Bad L host on my part. I just realized it. I was like, why is the panel up here? Keep going, Gift. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'll be honest with you. If CJ McCollum is gonna be dog shit like he was when he played the Lakers, or if he's gonna have 28 points on 9 made threes with a game winner versus the Warriors, then I don't know. As we know, the play-in is about all variants.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the Lakers blast the doors off of him last time, but the real question is about Zion and his performance versus LeBron and Anthony Davis in the front court, how consistent he can be. I think Brandon Ingram can carve up their defense, but the problem is all season long for the Pelicans, I've been saying is Ingram and Zion's chemistry as a two-man game has not been established. So in a single game elimination, it's about what leans your best. Their starting lineup for the entire season has not been a positive, but they have many other lineups that are their best lineup. So in a matter of them figuring things out, since they just directly played the Lakers just now, I do feel like this is going to be a
played well, didn't he?
game.
I thought he played well.
Not versus the Lakers.
Not as well as he played against the Warriors. I thought
he had a pretty good game. Maybe I'm sure. I thought he had a pretty good game against.
CJ hit 9 threes versus us. So
yeah,
let me see that Lakers game.
I'm trying.
I mean 9 threes. I mean he was 4 for 9 from 3. Got you 25 on 9 for 19. I think Ingram and Zion were more the problem, and J-Val. Like J-Val was just good.
Well, Zion also freezes anytime that he sees the Lakers and forgets how to play basketball.
Like, I do think Anthony Davis is a really bad matchup for him. But for whatever reason, it's just some players are really bad matchups for guys. He might be that.
Yeah, like Sabonis is the AD. I feel what you're saying.
It's that. And even like, remember when Draymond Green always used to dominate Kevin Love? It was the weirdest thing anytime the Lakers and Cavs played, right? Kevin Love, I thought, was a great player, but when he saw Draymond Green,
it's because you actually have a all-league defender guarding you, and your role is the third option on a team with LeBron and Kyrie. Draymond gonna start that. You are afterthought. like you better be able to knock down that three ball. You better give me.
I think it was also like I just think he had like the perfect body type to guard him because I've seen Kevin Love cook some guys who we think was better, but he just had that 6'9", could move with him, still. Because the thing with Kevin Love is he could, he was able to go around the slower guys, but could body up some of the, smaller guys. But with Draymond, he had the counter for both.
Yeah. Because he knew if he hit one move on Draymond, that was going to be his nuts right there.
Something.
Raps.
Yeah, no. So I think this game is going to come down to how Brandon Ingram, obviously coming back from injury, I think he's still going to obviously be fighting off some rust to how he performs. I think he's going to have to give you probably close to 30 tonight. I think it will be a high-scoring game. I don't expect to be, kind of won't be a 100 to 90 game. I kind of expect to be a 120 to 110, maybe 128, 120 type of game. So if Ingram can get you 30, I think it'll be interesting. But I just think LeBron's going to be good for LeBron's stat line, triple double, and Anthony Davis should be able to feast and get you a 30 piece.
Yeah, I feel weird about this because I feel like LA is going to win this matchup, but I think it really just comes down to the shooting variance of the Pelicans. If they're making shots to where they're shooting 52% from 3, that changes how you have to guard them, and that opens up the floor more for Zion and Ingram to have success. But the closing minutes is also what I question, because for the fourth quarter, the Pelicans have not historically throughout the year been a great team. So in a single game, they can pop off and go crazy for sure. But if the game is close down the stretch, how do they adjust to LA and their free throw advantages, right? How do they adjust to the size of LeBron and Anthony Davis in that closing lineup? And more importantly, do they take advantage of the guards on the Lakers defensively? Do they go at that? Like, I've seen too many plays where Zion has had mismatches, and instead he's trying to find a switch on a bigger player instead of just taking Reeves or taking that other player. So seeing more of that is going to be imperative if they want to beat LA tonight. But I kind of want to ask Jalen something, right? So I've been seeing people say that they think LA should tank this game and lose on purpose to beat whoever the other seed is and then go to the playoffs as an 8 seed and play OKC
instead
and not the Nuggets. What are your thoughts on that?
So from a basketball matchup perspective, I see why people are pushing that narrative, whether it's the media, fans, and all that. Because I said the Lakers have dominated OKC this year. They just have their number, played great every time they played them. While Denver, we understand their struggles against Denver. Even though they've been close games, that fourth quarter, Denver always just seems to get it done over the Lakers. So from that matchup perspective, I understand. But then we also have to consider, though, is in a one game in a playoff, like in this play-in tournament, like you mentioned, the variance, one game changed everything. So if they were to quote unquote throw this game, look, a bad shooting night, an 0 for 8 night from D'Lo could be the season. You know what I mean? A bad shooting night from LeBron, AD, and these guys, a hot shooting night because they would have to play Sacramento or Golden State, whichever one. A hot shooting night from Steph Curry or Clay could be over for you. A hot shooting night from Keegan Murray you know what I mean? So like I said, with the various involved in a one game elimination, you don't throw games. You just don't let a game go, right? You win when you got to win, you move on. And guess what? When it comes to the Lakers, people aren't going to care. The only thing they're going to care about is if you win the championship or lose. They're not going to care about you winning the first round, second, or third round. That's what comes with the Lakers. That's what comes with LeBron James. He can make a run to the Western Conference Finals. No one's really going to care. They're like, oh, he couldn't make it to the finals. He could lose in the finals. That whole talk would be crazy because another finals loss, it's going to be a goddamn headache to listen to these people with that one, right? So it's just like, to me, play Denver the first round. Who cares? You got to get it done. You got to beat them eventually. If you think that they're the favorites, got to get it done. So to me, I actually like the Lakers against Denver. I think they'll get it done. Lakers just get the job done tonight. Ain't nobody throwing a game.
Yeah, Lakers are not getting the job done as Denver. They're getting blitzed. I feel like
they're getting murked.
I think that they'll be competitive, but the games are always competitive. Down the stretch, I just think that there's too many adjustments Darvin Ham is not going to make, and the firepower of what Denver consistently does will beat them. But I still think it's crazy that people are legitimately trying to say that they should lose on purpose because ultimately, these are Lakers fans that are upset with the situation that they are in, right? But this is why seeding is so important because you fuck around and you reach this point in the season where it's like, okay, because we were inconsistent for the majority of the year, we either play Denver in the first round, play OKC, or we don't play any games in the playoffs at all. Those are the cards you were dealt. So to me, risking not making the playoffs at all just to get a more favorable matchup, which, by the way, you can still lose that favorable matchup, even though on paper they have more size. OKC still has been a top 5 team in offense and defense. And down the stretch, they have many perimeter threats that can expose what LA doesn't have on their perimeter. So to me, you got to go for it, bro, because at least you know that we can hang with Denver in terms of not being blown out by them. But the Avalanche, I just don't think they have any answer for it. But I wouldn't risk it, bro. Just make the playoffs.
100%.
Yeah, my whole thing with it is like this: is like the fact that the media, more importantly, I think I'll say Stephen A. Smith because I literally saw him do this. Just kind of hint at the idea because he wasn't saying like he was advocating for players playing to win, but he was saying like if you're thinking about it in that other context where it's like, well, what does realistically happen if we lose this game? Like we could avoid Denver. I say play them straight up. Look, you got swept in the Western Conference Finals, but you had a great run last year post-trade deadline, right? Like you were able to do something that a lot of people really didn't even consider you being able to do. Obviously, the Heat did it in the Eastern Conference from the play-in spot, but still, it was crazy given how much like the Lakers had went through with the whole Russ thing and the Carmelo thing for a little, like just changes in identity and all that. So it was great for them to be able to make it to the Western Conference Finals, but you got swept. Right? You literally got swept. So it's like if you have an opportunity to knock this team out early, because think about it, a upset between a 1 seed and an 8 seed, upsetting a 1 seed rather, is something that's going to get talked about, right? It's ammunition, it's motivation for you to keep going.
It's another box for my GOAT talk. If that happens,
that's another box. It is. I'm not gonna lie, it is for LeBron. So I think that they play to win tonight, and I honestly see them winning tonight because, like I said before, when Zion sees the Lakers, like you can bet the over, he's gonna hit the under. I'm telling you, bro, it's wild. He just everything that you know about Zion for however many highlights you saw in the last 3 weeks. When they play LA, it's a different story. I don't know what. Maybe it's LeBron and his aura. I don't know.
I mean, but that's why the shooting is so important because again, Zion struggling. Like I've seen games where Zion has not scored high, but in terms of like playmaking and creating advantages, he did that to a high level. It's just the decision making against their defense was Zion. That's my question.
Yeah, and if the Pelicans are able to shoot lights out like they were the other night against the Warriors, which pissed me off so much because we were so close to coming back, but they just could not stop knocking down long ball shots, then hey, the momentum could swing that way and they could win this game. But for me, I think that LeBron specifically, LeBron's at a stage in his career, not an age, but a stage in his career where it's like, if the coach can't figure out the team, LeBron's gonna try and figure out the team. And more times than not, he might end up having more ball knowledge on how to stop certain offenses and how to have certain defensive schemes or whatever. He might have more in his brain than Darvin. Oh, he does. No, he does. He knows more about the game of basketball than his own coach. That is the bottom line here. So if you're running up against a squad like Denver, or you're running up against a team like the Pelicans, who they have seemed to figure out how to beat on a consistent basis so far this regular season, LeBron's gonna I have more stock in LeBron figuring out a way to get it done. You know, the only way I see him not being able to get it done is if D'Angelo Russell plays like shit, or Rui Hachimura and some of the other guys that have been notorious or really good pieces, role player pieces alongside the Lakers this season. If they don't hit their shots, then it's a different story. But I trust LeBron. I genuinely. So let's move away for a little bit though. I want to stay on the play-in because I don't know if y'all saw, but Draymond Green had given some thoughts on the play-in tournament. And honestly, it's nothing major at all necessarily. But the one quote that Bleacher Report pulled from his video, if y'all saw it, was, "I hate the play-in, ... It's the best thing ever created." So basically, when you listen to Draymond, he's basically raving about the play-in and how exciting basketball is for the last stretch of the season in comparison to other seasons. So I'm going to throw the question to y'all. Was the play-in tournament a W choice from Adam Silver in terms of putting it into fruition? Or was it one? And also give me your thoughts on your initial thoughts when you first heard about the play-in tournament.
So I think the results of the play-in tournament have been great for the league in terms of the games have been really good. They've been closely contested games. They got down to the fourth quarter. Like I remember I think it was in the bubble when they had that whole situation too, which is great games throughout. Like that. And I mean, I remember the Laker Golden State game, that was just a great game like that they played. It's two high level teams going at it. So I think in terms of the product on the floor, 100%. Now, in terms of, do you want, so you're basically what you're doing is you're rewarding the team that barely misses out in the 9 and 10, and you're making it more difficult for the 7 and 8, right? It kind of affects those 4 teams. And a lot of the times when it comes to people's opinions of it, really comes down to where your team falls. If your team happened to be the 10th seed that year, you're like, yes. If your team happened to be the 7th or 8th seed, you're like, why do we have to play a game to, because we would have made it every other year before the play-in, right? So you kind of understand both aspects. I think the pros and cons of it, again, both are there. I understand it. I'm cool with it. If you want to avoid the play-in tournament, win more games, get in that 6th spot. That 7, 8, 9, 10 seed, especially in the Western Conference, it's very legitimate. Those are all just like very kind of good teams. One above 500, right? They're all 10 games above 500, 9 games, whatever the case is. They're not 10, 15 games below 500 are really bad teams. So I think it definitely makes sense of that. Now in the East, you can have a conversation because I think worse teams have made it in the play-in. So you can see that's a little problematic. But in terms of the West, I think it works out very well. So my overall grade for the play-in is that, it worked the way it was intended to work. I think it added some excitement to the playoffs. It gave, you could say, maybe a good team that maybe had a bad stretch during the season. And I think a lot of those teams, I think the Lakers, Pelicans, Warriors, and Kings are all good teams who just had a couple bad stretches. Some of those, 3-4 game losing streaks that they went on, those were, 3 wins, 3-4 more wins. They might have been the 6th or 5th seed, right? So I think sometimes teams that, that would have missed the playoffs as a whole, they get an opportunity to make it, and they're a good team. So I'm okay with the play-in. And when they first announced it, it just reminded me of college basketball's tournament, right? The one and done situation. Because it's kind of even though it's more of a 2 and done for the top teams, but a one and done for the bottom 2 teams. I I was like, let's give it a shot. Seemed interesting, so I'm okay with it. I think it worked out well. Games are exciting.
I saw this comment from .com. The fact that any 9 or 10 seed has a chance to make the playoffs is disgusting to be honest. Look, you can think about it like that, and I feel you on that. I really do. But the way I see it is a little bit differently based off of literally what we saw last playoffs. Jimmy Butler and the Heat, no one expected them to make it that far past all the damn teams. The Lakers were a 9 seed recovering from the first half of the season from having Russell Westbrook and all that bad contract money BS on their squad, all of that. And they made it to the Western Conference Finals. So I think that with the plan, there's enough room for more Cinderella-esque type runs. And why is that a bad thing? If you are a 1 seed and you lose to a team that was the 10 seed or 9 seed that ended up being the 8 seed, sucks to suck, bro, but you suck. Like, I'm sorry. Like I don't give a damn. That's gonna be views, right? Like the league is gonna be raving off of that. So that's just my 2 cents on it. But Gifted, go ahead.
Yeah, where I'm at with it is I love and hate the play-in.
Okay.
I love it because it absolutely enhances basketball. I think regardless of what fan you are, normally around these times, the regular season becomes boring because teams know exactly what's there. Teams down the stretch begin resting players because there's literally none to play for. How many times can we say that this late in the season, teams are still playing for something where Denver, OKC, and the Wolves are all fighting for that 1 seed because they know whoever's at 1 is going to play, whoever comes out of the play-in, who objectively, right, will have less rest than you have, right? So that's the thing. But also, I think the amount of good teams in the Western Conference that are at the bottom, I mean, dude, we have teams that are several games above their 500 record, which is crazy. Like, they're that good, right? So I want to give that credit. But why I hate the play-in is for the same reason .com said. The idea that a 10 or a 9 seed can be several games under 500, but because they happen to be the 9 seed or the 10 seed, they make it, I think is kind of crazy. I feel like how it should be is there's some type of system where, okay, you have to be at least 500 or above to qualify for the play-in. And then on top of that, be 9 or 10. I think that makes more sense because I really don't see the point of rewarding bad teams for being bad, right? Like, I don't really like how that goes. Shoot, I also would love it if bad teams could play each other at the end and they play for a draft pick. That's not going to happen. That's fantasy. But just like,
I actually like that idea, Gifted.
That's a good idea. Good idea, but they're not.
Good idea.
Yeah,
never gonna happen in life. But yeah, I like the plan because again, it does boost the quality of the regular season. And to me, what we should be all in on as fans, as people who watch these games night to night, is what's making the league better, right? Like the fact that the Spurs, who were eliminated from contention, beat the Denver Nuggets, and Denver didn't sit their guy because they needed the 1 seed. It's pure spectacle. You know what I'm saying? So like that playing stuff really, 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 really matters, especially down the stretch, knowing about tiebreakers and all this other stuff, which now on top of that, I think the value of a tiebreaker goes up, knowing that can be the difference between you being a 6 seed lock or in the play-in where you go out through a 2-game variance, right? Which ties back into the NBA in-season tournament, where now they're saying that they're going to give teams a tiebreaker, which I want to say this somewhere. I don't know if it was here or the panel or Gold Blooded. I said it somewhere on Player Trust for sure. I was saying they need to have a bigger incentive for the regular season tournament. And I was saying a tiebreaker makes so much sense because if I'm a young team that busts my ass to beat all of these other teams, then my reward should be something that's valuable, that means something. And to me, it shouldn't be overpowered because, again, right, it is a regular season tournament. It shouldn't be like some crazy thing, but a tiebreaker where no matter what, because you won the in-season tournament, you have the tiebreaker. If you're tied up with any other team, to me, that's fair. So I would love to see that.
Okay. I mean, that's honestly, Gifted should be commissioner. Let's petition for that.
Not mad at that. I'm not mad at a couple of the ideas. Would you do like the bottom 4 seeds, so like the bottom 2 in the East, bottom 2 in the West, and they have a tournament for the number 1 pick?
That would be fun as hell to watch.
Yeah,
I mean, and like they have to try to win, so the big names are going to play all the minutes. You know what I mean? So that would be interesting.
So here's my thing with the play-in. And I understand both sides of the fence because you got to think when the play-in tournament was first announced, everybody initially, for the most part, was like, what the hell is this? This is so confusing. And then after a couple of years, after a couple of good playing games to look back on, in the history books, now everybody's like, okay, we get the hype around it. We gonna watch regardless. So, and I made a video last night on TikTok about the Philly and Heat matchup. And I specifically said, this matchup, like the loser of this game is going to end up potentially probably playing with the Celtics because the Hawks and the Bulls are afterthoughts. Love you, Hayes. I'm sorry. But like, let's be real. So to .com's point, or that he made earlier about just certain trash teams being in and just being a waste of a playout spot, that's how I felt about the Hawks when they went up against the Celtics, I think last year. Or, I was just like, they're kind of just like, we knew they weren't going to win. They managed to get one game off. That was cool. But I mean, at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, it's all about the wins. You look at the 10-seeded Golden State Warriors. People on the internet would be quick to call them trash, but not point out the fact that if this was 2016, they'd be a 5 seed in the Western Conference. They're 10 games over 500. They're 27. They went 27-12 post All-Star break, right? Top 10 offense, top 10 defense, all across the board. But nobody would talk about that because they're
easy.
What?
Chad, ZZ is cooking when he says that. Like that's how competitive the Western Conference has been from top to bottom. But ZZ is getting so nasty to the point where I know, again, I'm not dumb, right? I'm aware it's a business. The GMs have to agree. It's probably not going to happen. But if it was my league, I'm saying, all right, bro, we taking best records. Who was the best? We're not doing this. Okay, this team plays them twice. No, like everyone plays the same amount of games of West teams, East teams. Who has the best record? Because bro, the difference between the 1st seed and the 2 seed is 14 games in the East.
Yes.
The difference between the 1st seed and the 10 seed is like 6 games or 7 games.
It's so wild. It's so
wild, bro.
But when you and this is the thing that like this is why when I say things like me and Get to said, we don't look at this Warriors team as Warriors fans and think championship for sure.
No.
But if we think that they could contend in a couple of series with a couple of nice matchups, yeah. Why do we say that? I mean, we look at the team as a whole. When you talk about records and you talk about trash, it's like now you can compare them to the Houston Rockets and what they were going to end up being like, before Torrey Eason opened his mouth. Now there's a big difference between the 10th seed and the 11th seed, right? So, and like Giffen said, the difference between the 1 seed and the 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, the Boston Celtics better have their ass in the finals this year. I swear to God. Because if they don't, the backlash, because you got to think, I don't know about y'all, but one of my favorite times of year in the NBA basketball season is after the finals. So the summertime, right? Right after. From like June 10th through to August, because NBA discourse with what they get left over from the finals, like what they have to work with, right?
Bro. It gets wicked.
It gets wicked. I have seen some of the primest example of this for me was 2016 summer, bro. After the Warriors blew the 3-1 lead, I mean, they were ruthless. The comments were ruthless. You couldn't escape a 3-1 joke. And then we get all the way to October. Jalen's Precious King is throwing a Halloween party with 3-1 tombstones and shit.
Hey, let's
and
get
then
it.
Gets beaten, and then gets beaten 5 the following June, and then swept the next year. So yeah, like
y'all would have recruited Kevin Durant.
Yeah, he recruited Kevin Durant, and he still threw the party.
Can't do that shit again.
True.
Ron knew what it was.
That is true.
Yeah, he had to milk it as much as he can because he knew it probably wasn't going to happen again.
Now, Jalen, bro, I knew it got bad when like they won in the conference finals, and LeBron was like, "Look, man, I ain't even trying to think about the finals right now, man. We made it to the finals. Like, let's just this is a big accomplishment. Making it to the when he did that, I'm like, oh yeah." We all knew. He know what's up in the finals.
No, we all knew what was going to happen.
We all knew.
They tried to think it'd be like, great series. Come on now, like that's
you gotta think too. You gotta think too, Jalen. Like the way that they tried to market that shit back then, like
bro, they was milking that Christmas Day matchup crazy. ZZ, like, oh look, they beat him Christmas Day. I mean,
I'm like, what?
And then what was it? It was like 3 weeks later. I remember this shit because after Curry hit that shot on Clay. Comments, I remember the comments. They got KD and they still can't beat Braun. They got KD, and they still can't beat. And then fast forward like 3 weeks later, they played them again in Oracle, smoked them by like 33.
Blitzed the hell out of them.
They whooped their ass, and all of that discourse just fizzled away so quick because everybody when we got to June is rap.
I do think though, like with KD joining them, like I think that in some ways ruined what could have been the greatest rivalry.
I agree.
Right? I thought they would have get back and forth. Because I know people have the idea that saying that, Golden State would never beat Cavs again. I'm like, no, that went to a game 7. And it took an amazing block, the situation, like 1 or 2 plays. You know what I mean? So I think they would have, played in another maybe 4 finals.
Yeah. I don't even guarantee that Golden State, like I love what Jalen is saying here, because the point of the conversation is no one is saying either team is a surefire lock to beat either team. We're just saying, damn, we could have seen okay, maybe they go band for band at things again. Like that would have been fun to watch. Also, wherever KD went, seeing him go up against one of these teams trying to make a finals run, even that would have been cool to watch.
And when you think about it too, me and Gifted have talked about this. I think it might have been the second episode, honestly. But when you think about the discourse in that subject alone, it's like a sensitive one for most LeBron sexuals and Curry sexuals or whatever. But it's dude, nobody is saying that if you were to say that if Kevin Durant never joined the Warriors, LeBron would have 6 rings. Shut up. Stop. It one possession, right? Given all of the circumstances in that series, because that series was not perfect. Not perfect. That was a crazy ass series. Crazy scenarios, suspensions, injuries, hobbled so much. And it ended in one possession. By one possession. They went scoreless in the final 2 minutes up until Kyrie shot anyway. It was back and forth bricks. Kevin Durant, in my opinion, robbed us some sort of Renaissance era between LeBron and Curry, the same way that it was for Bird and Magic in the 80s, right? Where it's the 2 premier guys from both conferences are virtually sure locks to end up in the NBA Finals against each other.
I think they would have played 6 NBA Finals against each other, and it might have went up 3-3, maybe 4-2, one way or the other. I'd edge it to LeBron. It just would have been great to see.
LeBron would have eventually figured it out, and Steph and the Warriors would you think that they wouldn't have responded? They responded for 2015 from everybody shitting on their first finals win by winning 73 games. You think they wouldn't have came back with more fire? Do y'all know Steph, Clay, and Drake? Come on now.
I think the Kyrie Curry rivalry would have been insane.
Yes,
that going back and forth. It just would have been so.
That would, because you remember there was a time where they were is Kyrie really better than Steph?
Yeah, right there. They were right neck and neck with each other.
That would have been. I think that could have taken a leap in its own in terms of a rivalry, and then they probably still would have been okay, Kyrie versus Steph, LeBron versus KD, wherever he ended up, right? That still would have been a thing. Yeah.
And now Steph, it's time to stop reminiscing.
Yeah.
It is.
Steph would have won a Finals MVP a lot sooner too. I'm saying that Finals MVP talk would have been shut probably a lot sooner.
Some of the nastiest shit ever. But anyways, we do have to get to the other play-in matchup in the Western Conference. The other big game, Kings versus Warriors. Woo! I want to go to ZZ first on this. What are your thoughts? Are you prepared for the Harrison Barnes walk-off?
Bruh.
Does it just kill y'all? Does Harrison Barnes just play like he's an all-star?
Look, man.
He gave his bucket last time we seen him, man. That shit was wild.
He did. It was so wild because he just would not stop missing. And you would think it'd be one, he probably would have missed it if the Warriors had stayed in Oracle and they played that game there. He probably would have missed all his shots. But no, I'm conflicted, bro. I texted my girlfriend earlier today and I was like, yo, I'm scared. She was like, why? She has no idea what the hell I could possibly be talking about. I'm like, bro, if the Warriors lose, they out the playoffs. They have the playoff picture. And she was like, she just sent me a text back saying, I hope they win. Good luck with the little. And I was like, thanks. But I'm still, I don't know, because it's weird. Like Jalen said earlier, 1 game scenarios are different, bro. They're just
it's different, bro. It's different. Not safe.
I saw 2021 Steph Curry, a player that some people would say is the best version of a scoring Steph Curry that we ever saw because he was going stupid that year, no fans in attendance, 63-piece on or 62-piece on the Blazers, whatever, all of that. The year that he led the league in scoring again. So I was thinking back to that play-in game because you remember they went up against a young Memphis team, right? Dylan Brooks and Ja Morant was still a little wet behind the ears, yada, yada, yada. But that game came down to a Ja Morant floater in overtime, if I'm not mistaken. A Ja Morant floater. And I sat there and Steph in the press conference said his most iconic line, top 3 most iconic NBA lines of all time.
They don't want to see us next year.
I don't care what y'all say. That is a top 3 line ever because the look at it on his face, That man looked genuinely pissed. You saw it, it's like the little vein going. It's like, yeah, that nigga really mad.
Yeah,
that nigga said
that one for sure.
That nigga said, y'all don't want to see us next year. Came back, boom, championship. So I say all that to say the plan and being that it's a 1-game scenario, we saw LeBron and the Lakers and LeBron seeing 3 rounds, like just anything can happen. This Kings team is hobbled, right? The Warriors are a little hobbled as well, right? Gary Payton II, Lord have mercy. Again,
not playing. Not available.
Love him to death, but we might have to trade his ass again. I ain't gonna lie. But anyway, the 1-game scenario against a hobbled Kings team, a Domantas Sabonis is arguably looking for revenge, I guess, against Draymond Green. Maybe, I don't know.
He definitely is. Yeah.
So the Kings are gonna be looking to bring that heat. They're gonna be looking to light the beam again. It's enemy territory. Not necessarily concerned on my end because road warriors all season. Like, bro, what do you mean? So. It's gonna be an interesting one, but I still got the dubs. I think Steph is gonna put together a masterclass, and I'm honestly expecting a big game from Klay Thompson too. Clay's been balling the last few months, and nobody's been talking about it because they just want to concede that he's washed and his career should retire, and he's washed and he's washed and he's washed, but he's shooting 40% from 3.
Look, man, I feel different, bro. I don't know what the hell I'm finna watch, and I say this because this Warriors team has been inconsistent all season long. I want to be clear and honest about my takes on this team. I said heading into the season, once we traded Jordan Poole for Chris Paul and we traded draft capital to get Chris Paul, I'm like, the season's cooked. We might be competitive. We might beat a team in the first round. We might go second round. We're not winning. Like, I didn't view this team as a true contender from the jump. So it's not that. But even with that expectation, they still found a way to underperform. Because for the entirety of the season, it's been up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. No consistency. If you go back to the last Kings matchup, Trey Jackson-Davis wasn't playing. He was a DNP, guys. He was not playing minutes on this basketball team. We had Corey Joseph and a bunch of other random players playing over Trey Jackson-Davis. Now he's playing. And the crazy part about Steve Kerr is his consistency for this season has been under dramatic question. Why is that? Because we lose to the Pelicans where, in my opinion, they have a fake shooting type of game where CJ hits 9 threes in a game. Trey Murphy hits like 6 threes, but they're all like 35 footers, like they're deep threes. We lose that game, right? Kerr then says after the game, you know what? I regret not playing Trey Jackson-Davis more. But if you go 2 weeks before that comment, he said, yeah, Trace is the truth. I need to play him more to get him ready for the playoffs. So which one is it, Steve Kerr? Because in that Pelicans game, you chose to close out the game with Chris Paul, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond at the 5. When for that entire matchup, Trace was our most impactful player by the plus minus in that game. He was that good. Like I'm sorry, we had like 126 offensive rating when Trace was on the floor. When he wasn't, we had a 92 offensive rating. We were better on both ends with him on the floor. And instead, you had Chris Paul, who's another small guard that cannot shot contest on 6'5", 6'6", 6'8" wings. So for me, based off of that, I don't know what to feel. All I know is the Kings. They're not a good defense. They don't have Malik Monk, which helps Golden State severely. Malik Monk is such a big
smart
player
plug
for them. Arguably 6th man of the year this year, which we'll get into our NBA picks for who's gonna win what awards probably Thursday. I can't wait for that conversation.
Me too.
But yeah. So this is not a complete Kings team, but the problem is the Kings still play us close. They still love to run out there in transition. We have no GP to even try to match up with Fox, so Fox is gonna pretty much get his. We have to see if we're gonna try to actually run side, because if we don't, Sabonis on the glass could be a problem. And also, again, I'm being so serious. That Harrison Barnes shit is crazy.
It's
last
so
time
real.
we played him, he gave us damn near 40 points. I don't know what to expect in a play-in win or go home elimination game. So we'll see.
Another thing too, before I pass it to Jalen, is just like y'all don't understand how serious gifted it is with this Harrison Barnes thing, man. Because you got
to
Harrison Barnes has been holding a grudge. The Warrior fans have been holding a grudge to Harrison Barnes since
years,
2016, right? So Harrison Barnes knows this, right? And you got to think, like I said, The Warriors knocking the Kings out of the playoffs last year, even though I expected that because I kept preaching they're too young, the Warriors are too experienced. It's going to be a good series, but it's going to come down to experience. Steph Curry 50-piece in Game 7 when his whole team didn't show up. Good Lord. Steph single-handedly beat them niggas in one game. But the point is, Harrison Barnes and Grudges and De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis, everybody on Sacramento got some sort of beef with us from recent history. So being that we're going to be in enemy territory as well, I need Klay Thompson to step up. I need Steve Kerr to put his little head on straight and figure out, okay,
yes,
Jackson Davis, we have a lot of great moments this year with him. Let's use him because that is how you coach a basketball team. That's how you do it, Steve. You use the players that help you. You don't come up with some stupid ass excuse of, well, we don't know, like what he said with Moody earlier this season. Well, we don't know how we're going to fit him into the rotation because we're
playing Corey and all this other bullshit.
What are you talking about, Steve?
Yeah,
you don't know how you're going to put in Moses Moody, a guy that's a better 3-point. The only thing that Corey Joseph had over Moses Moody was age. What the hell is wrong with you, Steve? So, whatever. Everything has to go right for the Warriors to really go out there and dominate in a comfortable fashion, being that they're in enemy territory. Like Gifted alluded to, no Malik Monk is great. No Kevin Huerter is also great for the Warriors, right? Now they're going to be relying on a Harrison Barnes masterclass. They got to have a third option. It's up to the Warriors about the defensive matchups in terms, because I don't know, maybe Wiggs guards De'Aaron Fox, Klay takes Harrison. I don't know.
I mean, shoot, Keegan Murray. You know what I'm saying? Like
Keegan Murray, bro. The Kings, the one thing that the Kings have that makes them dangerous, that has me kind of being like, is the fact they're real for as bad of a defense team as they are. Offense, they really don't have any problems in terms of scoring the basketball. They don't have any problems going on avalanches from time to time when shooters are hot or De'Aaron Fox is cooking or whatever and getting guys involved.
That's the guy.
So,
Fox is the guy. Like Fox is he's not a guy you want to see in a one game.
Fox probably gonna cook.
Yeah,
I would think
he's gonna get his 30. I think. I bet it's over.
He always gets up for the Steph Curry matchups. He is a part of the brand, so he really wants to perform. Him and Steph have many good battles as well. I mean, shoot, last year was a battle between them two, so I expect to see great things from them too. But I know it's gonna come to down and stretch execution and who's making the adjustments, who's not. And Kerr, like I'm telling you, like I still think Kerr can be a solid coach. I don't want to be too hard on him, but for a lot of this season, his adjustments that he made late in the season are adjustments I've been calling for since November. So it's like, gotta see it, Kerr. Gotta see it in this game. What adjustments you make to aid this team to winning? That matters.
Exactly.
Now, with it, look, I think Fox is going to take like 30 shots this game, especially with no Malik Monk. I just think he's the guy who's going to have to take all the shots. Sabonis always kind of struggles against the Warriors, especially with his rebounding. He never rebounds the insane amount that he does regularly whenever he plays the Warriors. And even offensive, I think Draymond's going to give him some trouble there. So I think it'll really come down to guys you mentioned, Fox, Keegan Murray, Barnes. They're really going to have to kind of, I think, carry the scoring load. With that, in terms of the Warriors, like I think Steph's going to ball out. We've seen him time and time again. Like he'll show up for sure. Klay will definitely be an expert if the shot's falling. It's falling. If it's not, does a guy like Kuminga have to step up? A guy like Paz has to step up. So I think that'll be interesting to see if Klay doesn't have his shot going, who's the guy that steps up to score the ball with Steph? Maybe Wiggins. Wiggins always has some, every now and then a big game. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right, we tapped into that. We got a little bit of breaking news here. Don't know if any of y'all know, but
it's about Kawhi.
Yep. Yes, I am. Kawhi Leonard fills out the final spot for Team USA. And when you really think about it, Team USA is assembling the Avengers, man.
That team's better than 92 team. I don't care. This team's better than 92 team.
They got a squad, bro.
They got a squad. I'm not going to lie. They got a squad. They got to perform. If they underperform, which honestly, I don't even know how. The only way I can see them underperforming is injuries, literally. Because
I guess when I tell people like this roster, right, is we were the stars of the decade. This is our final run. Let's all come together on this one team and make it mean something.
Right. And so when you look at the roster, I mean, Devin Booker, LeBron, Curry, KD. Why did I start with Devin Booker? LeBron, Curry, KD, Devin Booker, Jason Tatum, Anthony Edwards, Anthony Davis, Bam Adebayo, Drew Holiday, Tyrese Halliburton, and the man who would have won MVP had he not got hurt, Joel Embiid.
It's a nice squad,
Kawhi Leonard. Now there was a battle for Joel Embiid. Like he was the hottest. He was one of the hottest free agents, I guess, if you want to call it. For teams, right? Imagine if Joel Embiid had played for France with Wemby,
with Gobert,
yeah. Oh my God, we dodged a bullet in that regard. But I mean, just thinking about it, bro, is it the off rip when you think about because you know where certain players are probably going to end up in terms of and obviously, you know, Jokic with Serbia, Luka with Slovenia. So, y'all, what are y'all's thoughts here? Do you think that this team is enough to beat any of the basketball fundamentally sound European teams of the elite in the Olympics?
Easily, this team has the most talent out of every team in the world, without a doubt. Obviously, when you have this much talent playing together, feeling each other out, knowing, you know, not to step on each other's toes kind of deal, that's a little bit of a feeling out for sure. But at some point, it's just like, even if the chemistry isn't 100%, man, the way these guys are playing too, they're all still playing at a high level. Like people say Steph, LeBron, they're all old, but they're still playing. Literally all these guys on this team, or a lot of them, have, you know, all NBA, you know, level discussions this year, you know, except for like obviously Drew Holiday. I think maybe Tyrese. But even then, like Drew, it's such a great guy to have on a team like this too. Kind of non-superstar, go to play great defense, hit the open shot, doesn't need the ball to really be effective. It's going to be great. Like I said, this is better than the 92 team. It's just incredible.
Yeah. So like I'm of the mindset that for overseas basketball, talent is very, very important. But the way you use that talent and the fit has proven in the past to be more important. Because even last year, we had the best talent, but in the FIBA stuff, we wound up not winning because the other team shot the ball better. We had bad overall tendencies, and the defense wasn't consistent in every spot. I think the difference, though, is when you have this amount of talent where you have athleticism all over the floor, you have high-level passers all over the floor, you have a team has Bam and Joel Embiid on the same team with Kevin Durant. Like it gets to a point where it's like, okay, this team is the clear best team in the planet. And I mean, Steph, KD, LeBron, like there's so many staggers we can see. Like we get to see a LeBron James and Steph pick and roll. We can see that. You know what I'm saying? Like there's just so much like competition and like great things to be seen with this team. And more importantly, it's filled with a lot of older guys. I feel like the bigger difference is we had a lot of young guns before. This is a lot of older guys. I love that Anthony Edwards is on this team as well because he can be that younger guy to like give them the true spark. But I think in terms of urgency, they're going to have their urgency. I don't think they're going to be playing
What's the starting lineup?
A bunch of
it probably is going to be. I mean, I think they're going to give Steph, LeBron, and KD to starting spots.
I was going to say, yeah, I think that I put LeBron
probably Steph, Bron, KD, Tatum, and Embiid.
Honestly,
Bam might come off the bench.
I'm not mad at that lineup.
That's a pretty good lineup, right?
100%. I actually like that. That makes a lot of sense.
Pretty good lineup.
I'm trying to think about taking those guys out. I think maybe you take out Tatum for certain matchups, but even that, I don't think you do.
I mean, no, because the thing that I heard them talking about on First Take this morning was because they were saying who's going to get that first spot, who's going to get that final spot, and the first name that they threw out was Kawhi. To which
I wanted Draymond, to be honest.
I wanted Draymond wouldn't have been bad either.
Would you start Kawhi over Tatum? I might start Kawhi over Tatum. I'm not even gonna lie.
But here's honestly,
I just like the young, the wing talent thing. Like I feel like having Kawhi in the stagger position is very, very strong. Because I was like, holy shit, we have, you know, this other great guy who can more athletically get up and down the floor a bit more than Kawhi, right?
Yeah.
I think Kawhi is better than Tatum. So, I mean, I'm not mad if they do that. But I can see them having at least one younger guy in that lineup.
Yeah,
I can see that. It would just be cool to see Kawhi with Kevin Durant, Steph, LeBron on the court together.
Hard as hell to watch,
like
bro.
4 players of a generation, you know what I mean? That really kind of, you can say, in the 2010s or dominated.
Wait,
that.
So okay, who's playing in the 2 guard though? So
that's the question.
I put LeBron at the 1, Steph at the 1.
Yeah,
I like
that.
Yeah. Okay.
I like that. So Jalen kind of alluded to it earlier, just about certain players that might end up getting awards. Gifted alluded to it as well. This is going to be our Thursday episode, but
I cannot wait for that episode.
Can't wait for that either. But I will just say this. I'm gonna throw this out there, y'all. These are some of the notable players that will be ineligible for NBA awards this year: Karl Anthony Towns, Scott Barnes, Kyrie Irving, Donovan Mitchell, Trae Young, and of course Joel Embiid.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, other than Joel Embiid, the others would be a question mark. Joel Embiid
obviously, Joel Embiid is the biggest lock here.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, some people in the comments were making cases that if Donovan Mitchell, if that shit didn't apply, he could be on his way to All NBA. And when you look at Scotty Barnes, he might have been on his way to Most Improved Player, right? When you look at Trae Young, when you look at Karl Anthony Towns, he might have actually got an All NBA team too. I mean, just for the Timberwolves being such a high seed, he might have found his way into third team or something. I don't know. Kyrie, he's fine. So the question that I want to ask y'all is this: the 65 game rule. We talked about it a few weeks ago. Me and Gifted did. I know when it was just me and him.
Sure did.
But Jalen, the 65 game rule. You know, we look at it for a season. There are players in this list that you know for facts, if there was no 65 game rule, they would be in certain situations to win some awards that we'll talk about Thursday. Who's the one guy on my list besides Joel Embiid that you think is the most affected by this?
Was affected by that 65 rule. I mean, you mentioned Donovan Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think he's a guy, even though it is positionless. I do think sometimes maybe these voters, like the voters aren't going to put, 4 centers in or whatever. Like they still have these positions in the context. So I think, Donovan Mitchell would have been a guy. When you think of a shooting guard, elite shooting guards, like Anthony Edwards, Booker, Mitchell, like he's right there with them. So he's definitely a guy there who would have made it. But other than that, I mean, the other guys that I missed are like Cat is cool. Like he might have snuck in because of the team success. I wouldn't put him on the team. And the other guys like Scotty Barnes, he wouldn't have made All NBA for me, even though I think he's been great, made a good jump this year, proved his playmaking. But I love the 65 game rule. I think a lot of guys played games. They showed up. I think a lot of players acknowledge that, hey, once you start messing with some players' money or the contracts they can sign, players are going to play more games. This is the nature of the world, right? That's in anything in life. Once you mess with people's money or it can affect it, they're going to do what's going to generate themselves more money, generate themselves and their family more money. Right. So I think it was a good thing for them for sure. And hey, should be a stacked All NBA team though, because there's plenty of guys who play 65. Like I know one of the things we were worried about was some like mediocre guys might make a team because the stars might sit out too many games. We don't have that situation. Everyone is going to make All NBA team is going to be elite.
It's great talent. Yeah. So are we covering all NBA and all defense on Thursday? And we just hit everything. We hit most improved, DPOY, MVP, like just everything in one episode. I'm with that.
I think we should do that because I have made a change to a couple of my awards predictions or who I would vote for.
Word.
And I think that conversation is going to be great because it has a little something to do with, I don't know if y'all heard, I'm going to bring it up again on Thursday. I'm going to save it. DeMarcus Cousins, what he said about your boy Rudy Gobert, Gifted.
Bro, he don't be cooking like actual shit. Like he does not. And see, it's crazy because I grew up a big fan watching DeMarcus Cousins.
Really?
And then I went back and I watched him and I'm like, he's still very impressive. But like hearing DeMarcus Cousins have anything to say about defense is crazy. That's a crazy look because you were not a good defender ever.
Defense was always bad. I'll give you that. The offense was crazy. I thought it was
wild for him to say anything about
the defense.
If he was saying something about, Gobert is a weak offensive player, okay, cool. You know all about the offensive side. I can respect that, but nah, bro. I don't see it. I do not see it, Sal.
I feel it.
So, nah, bro, I think that Thursday episode is going to be fun because there's so much to look at here between the DPOI, the All NBA teams, the defensive player teams. We got to make sure though that we're all in one accord of not picking players for slots that have not played 65 games. As long as we make sure we get that part done, we're fine. Because this year it's positionless, so there is no I didn't think he was a guard. I thought he was it's completely positionless.
Pick
so
5,
you just have to go off of who you think it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So outside of that, I'm trying to think of any other. I just found one. Okay, so I think LeBron on on the Mind of the Game podcast with JJ Redick when he was talking about the 2011 NBA Finals. He said, this is a quote from it. Yeah, we had from LeBron, from Jalen's Pookie Wookie Bear. Yeah, we had Rio, we had Udonis, but we didn't have enough as far as enough complementary guys actually to make it all work, and we still made it to the finals. Eddie House.
Y'all really like to pick out certain parts of the quote and leave out.
Right. I hate that. Right? I will say they were nasty with that. They were nasty.
I didn't hear the whole podcast.
He's like, I played like shit. Like, he fully acknowledged I played like shit.
Yes, bro. That's what pissed me off. That's what pissed me off about these. Y'all be trying to make my king look bad, but sometimes he has slip-ups like he did in the 2011 finals. But he's not perfect. He's not perfect. No one is. Wow. Eddie House said in response, if we're going to point the finger, let's point the finger at the fourth quarter collapse of every game that we had. If we're going to blame the game, if we're going to play the blame game, I wasn't on the court. The man saying the other guys wasn't getting it done who were on the court, but he was on the court and he wasn't getting it done. Crowd comments are ablaze. People are saying, who is Eddie House? People were saying Eddie House is trash. So I commented back just to piss off somebody. Somebody said Eddie House was trash. And so I was like, so was LeBron in the fourth quarter. But look, man, it's all funny games for me. I think it's just it's taken completely out of context, which is most of the stuff that you see when you see a LeBron quote and people are posting just for, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the one thing that I will defend LeBron on is that sometimes people are genuinely out to try and find a way to spin some narrative or create some or revitalize another. Like just so much BS. So the man is 40. Leave him alone, please.
I mean, it's the whole career though, like this overanalyzation of LeBron. That's what I said. Like no athlete has experienced the totality of his career with this kind of overanalyzation into his life and everything he says.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like if the guy sneezes, it's a story. If he throws something on the ground and like, oh, he's littering, he hates climate change. Like it just turns into this big old discussion with everything, right? Obviously, political stuff, even though he brings that about himself. And don't be wrong, do I think LeBron enjoys being talked about? Without a doubt, I think he's definitely a guy who enjoys the attention. He likes to be the center of attention for sure. But he's also a guy that's there's no athlete that's been overanalyzed and critiqued the way LeBron has, and that's just coming up during the rise of sports media talk shows and the internet, social media, him being at the forefront, it definitely kind of, it was a perfect storm for all this to kind of happen the way it did. But yeah, in terms of 2011, I mean, look, I think everyone kind of knows, I've said it too, they lost because of him. He had one of the worst finals performances ever by a superstar, if not the worst. It's one of the greatest collapses by an all-time great.
Go.
You know what I mean? To me.
So here's my thing with that too, is like to get this point about like you could like a player, like Gilbert Arenas, for example, right? Like when before that man had a podcast, when people were bringing him up, if they weren't talking about the locker room incident, we'll leave it at that. If they weren't talking about that, they were talking about how Agent Zero was underrated. I remember Jalen on it. It was some episode of the panel, like
I'm a big Agent Zero guy. Better than Reggie Miller. Better than Reggie Miller.
He was talking. Didn't you say something about his peak being better than like
Reggie Miller?
A lot of other guys.
Yeah, I think his peak's better than Reggie Miller. I think his peak is better than Klay Thompson's peak. Him and Ray Allen was really close. Kind of go back and forth with that, but you can make a case for his peak. His peak was incredible. You don't realize like Gilbert peak.
No, Gilbert was like that.
He was like that. He was like that. Don't get me wrong. The only issue that I have with Gilbert Arenas is like, and you think to Paul Pierce too, there's a lot of guys from back in the day where you're like, yo, you should be treasured or talked about in conversations of guys that are underrated or don't get appreciated or don't get their flowers. Like that's where you should be. But you choose to go on national television, Paul Pierce, and say that you were a better player than D Wade and say that you were a better shooter than Klay Thompson. And then Gilbert Arenas saying that Nikola Jokic is the worst MVP in the history of the league. And I'm like,
that's great. But the Paul Pierce though, Paul Pierce says stuff about like himself being better than he really was. He was a great player, but he just wasn't in the realm of certain guys. But he was a phenomenal player. Gilbert just says like stuff. I think Gilbert just says stuff for his YouTube show He doesn't really talk about himself game. It's more
he literally
just like,
he says bullshit on purpose.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah.
He
So I don't. Yeah, to me,
often.
Gilbert, it's a little different, but yeah.
It's different, but at the same time, it's like you can't be saying that. I feel like a part of me is going to feel like you're just saying that just so you can just slide by with whatever BS out of the realm of reality take that you have, like saying that to Nikola Jokic, which is absolutely insanity. So I'm like, that means that you want your credibility to be tarnished and diminished, and people not to really look at you as a credible source or just somebody that's just talking out the side of their neck. Like, I don't get that. You can troll for sure. I get it. I've worked with trolls before on podcasts. Shout out Light Out Sports. He just texted me saying the Warriors were losing tonight. Love him to death. One of the best trolls that I know. But the fact of the matter is that he lives up to it, and you can tell when you're trolling or when you're being serious. Gilbert Arenas was passionate as hell about that, right? Paul Pierce, in a lot of his instances, it's like, well, if I had this, LeBron, you give me the same Shaquille O'Neal that D Wade had. You give me Chris Bosh and LeBron. You give me like, bro, you are the same guy that's milking that championship from 16 years ago. I
don't think Paul Pierce is a top 10 player from that decade.
From that decade? Let's think. Let's think for a second. Let's think. What we got? In no particular order.
Yeah, we got Kobe,
Shaq, Tim Duncan, Shaq,
Kevin Garnett,
Tracy McGrady,
Dirk.
Good. Yeah, LeBron, is he going to be in there?
I was going to say, like LeBron, Wade, Melo. I mean,
LeBron and Wade.
So the we said KG already.
We said KG. We don't throw Ray Allen in there.
I mean, look, him at his and then you look at that's the thing though. We're looking at like Paul Pierce at his best, or he had some good consistency throughout the decade.
Yeah,
right. But again, I think at their best, especially when I was watching like Allen Iverson.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, right? I thought to me, even like again, Vince Carter, Gilbert Arenas at their best were better than Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce did it for longer, I think, but to me, those guys at their best were better. I even think a guy like Elton Brand was better than him.
Damn,
I think I'm saying I think Elton Brand was better than Paul Pierce.
You know I'm trying to think. Jason. Somebody said Jason.
Wait, Jason Kidd, Steve Nash. What are we talking about? Yeah, he's not top 10. Jason Kidd, Steve Nash. Yeah, he's not top 10 that decade. He's not top 10.
Look, bro, I'm just naming names. I'm just thinking, like, you got to think, is Paul Pierce a fringe top 10 player in the decade where he dominated the most?
He's not. I think he's probably top 20 for sure.
He's top 15. He's top 15 for sure.
That 14, 15. I mean, we named how many names?
We named a lot of good. Well, he's probably right outside that top 10. Gifted, what you think?
Well, I got a T-Mac hot take a lot of people aren't gonna like.
Oh, so man.
I'd rather just not even be, in this part of the conversation. I think Paul Pierce was a good player. I think that he was able to perform at a high level down the stretch for Boston. He was always one of those gamer type of players. I do feel like there's other players that just have higher value, but I find T-Mac such an interesting player, right? Because T-Mac's game was always aesthetically pleasing. He was always a
very pretty
good player.
He was the Paul George of his era.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was Kevin Durant without the jump shot, consistent jump shot. He was a more athletic Kevin Durant. He had more explosiveness, but the jump shot wasn't as consistent with the 3-ball.
I mean, Kobe said he's a taller version of myself. I don't know how y'all feel about
that. Which is crazy. Yeah, which is a crazy compliment. That's the compliment.
I just feel like for T-Mac, and like I know that people are gonna bring up how bad his teams were and all this and all that, but I do kind of find it, sad how this player who people have, crowned to be that caliber was never able to perform close to that standard in the playoffs like that.
Look, man,
he's never been out the first round.
Gifted talking, Gifted speaking. Y'all better listen to him. Y'all ain't hearing.
And I'm just saying, like, I feel like with Paul Pierce, right? Like people shit on Paul Pierce because of his personality. He wasn't this bigger than life player, but in terms of getting it done on the floor versus competition, Paul Pierce was doing that.
Mm-hmm.
The T-Mac thing. I read a very interesting article. I remember a couple years ago, stuck with me. Bill Simmons wrote, and he was like, Tracy McGrady, the unluckiest superstar of all time. It's like, okay, interesting take. You go, and you go read it. You go read it. He just kind of broke down different series. What happened? There was just a lot of injuries situations that's happened with like teammates that will go down. Whether it was the Yao Ming, Grant Hill, And then one series was it Louis Scola or Steve, one of the other key guys. Like every series was like, oh, this happened. Like a lot of breaks that, throughout a career that seemed to go 50-50. Sometimes you get good breaks, bad breaks. It seemed like with T-Mac, everyone was bad. Like every break, every opportunity.
It's so weird too, because when you look at it, it's like when you think back to T-Mac in his time in Toronto, right? He's there first. And then Vince Carter gets there, and it's like it's a mix of like, okay, are they gonna build around me or are they gonna build around him? His emergence as a star just skyrocketed. So then it's like or whatever, T-Mac. So it's like he had a situation where he had to leave that and bet on himself. Ended up in Orlando, right? And like whoever alluded to, I don't know if it was Jalen or Gifted, but he hasn't been he never made it out of the first round. That was his thing, right? The thing that, like, when we criticize players,
in Orlando, I can't blame him though. Like that team
in Orlando, I can't blame him to a certain extent, but there was a moment where
like the Detroit series,
Detroit series, where it's like, yo, you're up three games.
He was cooking though. Like he was still cooking.
He was cooking. Don't get me wrong. He was,
and we acknowledge that team as one of the greatest defensive teams.
Yep. And when you looked at what he was doing in the first 3 games, it was like he was 30 a game. He was just lighting the boys up, and then he tells the media, "Oh, it feels great to finally make it to the second round." Detroit's like, "What did you just say?" And then run off 3 straight on their ass. So it's a situation, and then you look at his time in Houston, him and Yao Ming, that was going to be great for what it was. They had good.
Yao Ming got hurt.
Yao Ming gets
hurt, and his bad back started to happen with Tracy.
And so it's like you can make an argument that he was either he was the most unlucky player in NBA history, or he's somebody that might be overrated. Which one is it? Chat, tell me. Was he?
Well, I say he's overrated. Like I mean, I hear all the context you're giving him, but I feel like when you go to all these other players, you don't give them that same type of context. You lean towards giving it to T-Mac because of how aesthetically pleasing his game was and how good he was in the regular seasons. My thing is, beyond making it out of the first round, I'm asking, when has T-Mac performed at an elite standard in the first round routinely? That like I'm saying, win, lose, or draw, whatever, did he perform in those moments? And
consistently,
most times he didn't.
Right.
I hear you. Like the playoff numbers definitely, don't look the prettiest. You can put up the context, like the Houston year stuff. Like that was when like the degenerate back was a real thing. Like he got like that happened as a rookie.
Yeah, he did get hurt pretty early. Yep.
Yeah. So as a rookie, the doctor said you have a degenerate back. You shouldn't play basketball. He's like, screw it. So like every year it was just going to get worse for him for sure. Again, playoffs, like even look at some of the playoff numbers now. I mean, the numbers don't. I mean, look, 33-8-6 in 2001.
In 4 games, Jalen, don't get it confused.
I know 4 games, but man, hold on. In 2001 to put up those numbers is
fair point.
Right?
Yeah.
Efficiency, it's got like those 20% from 3.
He shot 30% from the field.
I mean, 41. I get 41%.
Wait, no, my bad. My bad.
He shot 30 shots a game.
He shot 30 shots a game. My bad. I was looking at his shots. He shot 30 shots a game.
That can show you. Can anybody name somebody on that team? Because I can't.
Look. Think about it. Think about it.
You know what I'm saying? Like I can't.
Think about it like this. Age. He was doing that. His best playoff first round, or however you want to call it. He was 21.
I hear you.
Averaging 34 a game in 4 games.
The next 4 years, 33, 30, 31, 30. And he had 25, 27. Like he had a stretch where he was.
But I think that I know for a fact that in that Orlando series that they had lost to Detroit, I know for a fact that he played like shit after Detroit started.
Yeah.
You heard me say it.
I don't play
for the remainder of the series. So like it's one of those things where you can look at a player. Some players in NBA history people give leeway to. I feel like for a long time people tried to do that with James Harden. Probably like around 2017, 2018, where they were like, okay, we think that no, it's a media-driven narrative that he's a playoff choker. And then the years just go on and you see it again and again and again and again. Sometimes it's due to injury, sometimes it's mental lapses, sometimes he just is healthy and wants to have 12 turnovers a game. There was one time where he had more turnovers a game than assists, and that was, I think, in an elimination game. I want to say it was 2015, 2016 like time frame, but like he's had some stinkers. And when you look at other players that get glorified throughout their postseason career, for Damian Lillard, mostly coming off of first round series that he's had, or the 2 walk-off games that he had. It's one of those things where it's like like you just said, it's narrative. It's definitely narrative driven, but a lot of times you have to look at that and just dive into the stats and go back and just watch the film and just be like, yo, there was a time where Damian Lillard got outperformed in a playoff series by Drew Holiday, bro. Like,
listen. For the life of me, for everyone in this chat watching right now, go back and watch that series. Because the shit that Drew Holiday was doing, it's not like he was just playing defense. I think he averaged like 27 in the series.
Yes, bro, he was cooking.
Like he was
Drew Holiday might be the most underrated player of the generation. And other people realize he can catch you. Yeah, he can get you to 25 and elite defense. And I will say this about Tracy though. The thing is, the eye test for him does carry a lot of weight. Like you saw him play. Like I don't know if I can name 20 players where if I just watched them play basketball, I could say are better than him. They're just not. Like you watch him play basketball, and people forget like from like 2000 and let's say 2 to 4 or 5, whatever it was during that era, his streak when he was one of the best players in the league. Some people said the best player in the league. Some people would say make that hit in a league with Kobe, Shaq, Garnett, Duncan, Dirk. Like these are 5 guys who were all top 15 all time. A lot of these, and I think 3 of those guys are unanimously top 10 for the most part.
Yep.
A lot of guys said Tracy was the best player in the league. Like, man, there's how many guys can really say that, right? So Tracy definitely is one of those people where you look at the playoff and I get it. Like not getting out of the first round is pretty crazy when you think of the amount of times you did get to the playoffs and all that. But man, you watch him play, special player.
So we got 2 topics left. I'm gonna start with I'm gonna choose this one just because we can get it out of the way. Blake Griffin, ladies and gentlemen, is retiring from the game. Blake Griffin, one of the greatest dunkers that I've ever seen in my life. I'll tell you that much.
Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna get into that. Is he the best?
Very disrespectful.
I mean, he ain't no Vince Carter, but he's
not Vince Carter, but he's up there for sure.
Yeah,
I just see that man used to put people on posters multiple times.
I think he has more disrespectful dunks than Vince Carter.
He does, bro.
He say that.
Kendrick Perkins, Pau Gasol in the same game. He got Pau with 2 of the most vicious putbacks, and I think he dunked on him the other time. 2 of the most vicious dunks in the same game.
I agree. Like he has more dunks on people, but I will say I just think people are more willing to I don't think people are willing to challenge Vince. But there was a time when people just like Vince, get the hell out of the way.
Honestly, But here's if you have Vince as your GOAT dunker, I do. So like I understand it.
I got no issue with that.
Yeah. But Blake Griffin, let's just run over his resume. 5-time All-NBA. Some you can maybe say, maybe thanks to Chris Paul. 2nd most points in Clippers history. 2011 Rookie of the Year and 2011 dunk contest winner and the most rigged dunk. No, I'm kidding. So you look at Blake Griffin's career. It sucks that he never got a ring, man. But like,
unfortunate.
But he tried. Like he tried. In Brooklyn, I was like, damn, that boy, he desperate now. Him and LaMarcus Aldridge.
His career kind of reminds me of Vince Carter in the sense of great start to their career, and they kind of slowly tailed off. Obviously, Vince's longevity stayed on a little longer, but he had, Blake's time was kind of short.
It was short, but the one thing that people don't give Blake credit for is the thing that goes under the radar the most in his career. When his Detroit years, bro, especially 2018,
that might have been the best year.
That was his best year of his career. It just sucks that it was in Detroit, but we got to see Blake as a number 1 option, and bro was winning them games. Like he was shooting threes, dunking on people, facilitating at times. Like
Blake got to give him credit for adding a 3. Got to give him credit for adding that 3.
And Blake put it all on the floor because he was hurt and he was playing on one leg just to make sure they didn't get swept by the Bucks. You know what I'm saying? Like he was playing hard.
Give that man some credit, man. Love Blake Griffin. Always will.
Is the Hall of Fame for you?
That's my next question to y'all. Is Blake Griffin a Hall of Famer?
5-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA.
The 5 All-NBAs is impressive.
It is
impressive. Blake Griffin, yeah.
5
I mean, to be completely honest with you, like I ain't gonna say no first ballot, but you think about it, like a player like Blake Griffin is gonna go down and going to be remembered as one of the best dunkers of a generation, right? So like that is enough that I think when we think about the basketball Hall of Fame as a whole, and you look at his numbers, it's like, he could.
The numbers are kind of like he had 1 season where he averaged over 23 a game or 2.
Yeah, but he also had 1 season, maybe 2. Yeah, 2, where he was not a lob threat, in a system where he was basically being fed by Chris Paul the majority of the time. The difference between him and DeAndre Jordan, for example, is that when DeAndre Jordan was making all NBA teams and all that shit, you could attribute it to Chris Paul. When he was leading in field goal percentage and all that, you attribute it to Chris Paul. With Blake Griffin, he was a little bit more dynamic of a scorer. So I think that
Blake Griffin never averaged more than double-digit rebounds. Only his first 2 seasons.
That's another thing too with Blake is that I always thought was weird. But DeAndre Jordan was handling.
Yeah, DeAndre Jordan. That's true. He was a glass cleaner.
Wait. So I mean, he finished top 10 in MVP his second season.
Damn.
That was 2011. He finished top 3 in MVP 2014.
Talk to me.
And they're saying top 8 in MVP in 2014.
Yeah. So he had 3 top 10 NBA seasons.
Wow. Wow.
All NBA second team in his sophomore season, technically. All NBA second team in his third season. All NBA
third team when he was 25. Yep.
His all NBAs were just running through and then he made it again.
I feel like he was supposed to take another jump.
Maybe
he probably was because I feel like the most underrated part of his game was his playmaking. He was a pretty good passer always.
Yeah. That's something that goes under the radar. Yeah. But shout out Blake Griffin. We love you here from the logo and hope you're happy in retirement. Get in the booth or something like.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, how much you make in his career? Like 200 million, if not more.
Duke. He actually did. He yes. The one top three MVP season he had was in 2014. We said that.
That's crazy. Anyway,
that's wild.
So moving away from that, what do I have? Oh yeah, the Bucks. Giannis Antetokounmpo, team reports it's looking like he's gonna miss the beginning portions of this first round series against the Pacers.
Pacers in 7.
Wow.
I also have the Pacers winning this series.
This could be a big Lillard legacy series.
Oh hell yeah! But here's the thing, Jalen. Don't just say it like that though, because it's not. It's not. We know what we could expect.
Yeah, I don't think it is
in the first round. We know what he's given us in the first round.
For them to win without, Griffin. I just, especially with the pace that Pacers play and all that. Like Lillard legitimately might average like close to 40 than 35.
They needed Giannis to put up like 30 plus points to be in the game with the Pacers. If he's not there.
Yeah, Bobby Portis.
I would say Bobby Portis give him a little 20 piece a night. Chris Middleton got his
Bobby a hoop.
Yeah, Bobby gonna hoop for sure. But it's up to Chris Middleton. That's another guy that when you look at the concern about injury for Giannis, you kind of looking at Chris Middleton like, all right, now we're gonna need you more than we needed you all season. So
there's gonna be no defense.
We gonna see
no defense. Either side, no defense.
Look, man, I'm telling you,
straight baskets. Yep.
I had the Pacers actually beating the Bucks. Even with Giannis, I was considering it. I was like, I could see it for sure.
How many games did they say Giannis will miss? First 2, 3? Like, did they say?
Listen, I hate Jalen when teams do this because they're doing the same thing that I saw the Clippers do, right? Where they don't tell you, which to me is a sign that he probably shouldn't be coming back or might not really come back. But they're trying to keep it competitive, so like the other team doesn't like think that they can't worry about Giannis coming back. He had a calf strain, bro. And the way he grabbed his leg towards the tail end, I think it's going to take some time for him to fully recover. But if he is to come back, it's probably after the first 2 games.
Yeah.
Realistically, he might be forcing himself back. You know what? If they win those first 2 games, they might give him another day rest. Another game.
Exactly.
If they lose, yeah, that's true. I hear what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And they did the same thing last year with Paul George and Kawhi because they were saying Paul George is going to probably be back game 3, game 4, and then all of a sudden, no Paul George. They said, oh, okay, well, Kawhi, he's not playing game 3. He'll be back, and then he never came back for the series. So, to me, I don't even think they should try to play with his health like that. If Giannis isn't fully healthy, they're not going to make a run this year. And honestly, even if Giannis was fully healthy, I didn't really like this roster to make a true run anyway. So I mean,
Duke makes a good point. Like KD capturing toward the Achilles after.
Good point. Yeah,
you don't want to do that with Giannis.
You don't want to test that shit, bro.
I'm not taking that risk with a superstar that I just extended to 3 other years just to beat the Pacers in the first round. I'm not. No.
If Dame can get you a game, like say Dame gets you game 1. Then I'm with Gifted on the fact that the Bucks front office or trainers or whatever are gonna look at it and be like, all right, they got us 1. You know, if they win game 2, all right, how you feeling, buddy? They win game 3 as well. How you really feeling? But like, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna be milking the hell out of it, trying
I'm
to
gonna
get
be
there.
so honest with you, ZZ. We talking about the wrong player. To me, it's not even Dame who has real pressure on him.
Mm-hmm.
I think the player we should be talking about really should be Tyrese. Because since post All-Star break, Tyrese Halliburton has not performed like how he was at the beginning.
Right.
They've still won games in spite of that. Pascal Siakam isn't playing his best basketball. In my opinion, with Giannis compromised, if Tyrese plays at his level that he was playing at before the All-Star break, they should be able to beat the Bucks. The reason why it's in question is because he hasn't. So I'm looking at Tyrese Halliburton. Are you really better than Trae Young? Are you really this caliber of player to be put in these talks if you can't carve up a Bucks-led defense without Giannis? I'm looking at him.
I remember that's a great point Gifted just brought up, because I remember when earlier part in the season where Tyrese was really cooking, even on the panel. Like I think it was Ticket, Ron and them. They were talking about is how good is Tyrese Halliburton? He's a fraud. He's not. He's better than this point guard. He's not. Like Gifted said, this is the moment where you prove it. You know, all the talk that we had earlier on in the season about how great it was that he was shooting all them threes and getting all them assists. You know, you have not had that great of a second half. You have not really come close to that as consistently as you were doing, at least within the first half of the season. So you have a situation where you walk into a Milwaukee team that you've beaten before, healthy, right? By playing these great games. You had the advantage. So there is no excuse, for you to not perform, at least matching Dame's production, whatever that might be, or surpassing that. So we'll see. We'll see. But
agreed.
That's all I got for today. We're ending a little bit early today, but this was a great show that we had, guys. Go ahead, sign off, Jalen. Tell them where to find you.
Great episode. We'll be back Thursday with more in-depth season awards and whatnot. Hopefully we can gather the entire crew there for that episode. That should be a very fun episode. Also, we'll be slightly recapping how the playing games for today went, so tap in there. But as for me, you can find me on YouTube at Gifted Hoops, on Twitter at Gifted Hoops _, and everywhere else pretty much Gifted Hoops. I should be findable and accessible in all those places. So tap in. I'm actually going to be watching this playing game probably on playback later. So yeah, that's me.
Solid. Yeah, no, find me on Jalen Carter Music, YouTube, TikTok. Yeah, just over here on PC, living life. Any other news y'all want to talk about? Anything new with the Diddy? Anything new with the the Drake situation. Drake, not Diddy. My bad.
Christ,
yeah, not Diddy. That's my bad.
Anything new with Diddy?
No, that's crazy. I meant Drake's situation, man. Drake.
I listened to his diss track earlier today at work, and because I was like, I heard the snippets and shit, and I was like, the snippets that I did hear, I was like, what did he say about Metro? All right, let me listen to it. I had to read SoundCloud and all that shit, right? So I go in that joint. I listen to that joint. I'm at work. I'm on my computer. I'm typing the shit in my ear. I'm like, yo, he really just aired out everybody. Like everybody got a bar. Even Castanet got a bar. I was like, the fuck he do?
Bro, you know what's crazy? The Kill Bill girl. You know how iconic that is for her to respond with her.
So iconic, bro.
Shout out Uma Thurman, man. Like people don't realize, like Drake got motion. Like Drake's motion is different. It is at a different level. He got legends popping out. Be like, here's my, my outfit from a legendary movie. You need it. Come on, like that's
my thing. And my thing too with because I was gonna hop in Dub's show yesterday when they were talking about it, but like the whole Rick Ross thing, bro. Like I don't even know at this point if they all just trolling like us, like
that shit was not moving me, bro. I'm
sorry.
Like
Rick Ross, bro. I'm like, dude.
You gotta stay relevant though. Smart.
Rick Ross.
We talk about Rick Ross.
I respect what he did in terms of responding immediately as hip hop. I was happy to see him do that. But in terms of me taking the diss track seriously again, I find it hard when Drake said I was on all of your biggest songs, and your response is,
so hard,
"You got a nose job, white boy." I'm like,
look, he had more money than Drake. We all know you don't have more money.
This is the thing, bro. Like with Ross is like I've always respected Rick Ross. Me and my boys in middle school used to walk around the hallways screaming "boss" every day, like just because of Rick Ross. So like I'm not discrediting his credit in the game or whatever. But like Gifted said, your comebacks are about as pointless as Metro, because all Metro can do is sit down and make some drums, nigga. Like
why Metro even like trying to get involved and get it? Like you know, I get it, you a co-producer, but
I love how Drake on the diss track took the drums out and then said,
"Yes,
I'll work on these drums, Metro." That was genius.
There's levels to it. Levels to it.
There's levels to this, bro.
Yeah.
I'm like, here's the thing that another thing that annoyed me too is how people were so quick to be like, yeah, Kendrick said this. Kendrick's was better than Cole's because, and I'm like, tell me exactly what bar Kendrick had in his 35-second verse that was better or more eye-popping to you besides F the Big Three than J. Cole's 7-minute drill, which I'm still pissed that he took off of streaming services. Or what Drake just did in 3 minutes and 30-some seconds of airing out everything. He called out The Weeknd, K-Dot, mentioned Cole, mentioned Casanat, mentioned Rick Ross, like Metro, The Thing, Future, all of that, bro. Like the Chip and Dale line was crazy.
Chip and Dale line was hard. That's a hard line. And
the thing that I hate that people do when it comes to Drake, and I told my boy this because we was texting about it earlier. One of my boys was like, yo, like I tried to listen to the Drake thing, but I couldn't get over the ghostwriting thing, bro. I was like, yo, do you realize how many rappers, musicians, whatever, go seek help to write rhymes, to write verses?
Happens a lot.
Your favorite rappers have ghostwriters.
Your favorite rappers, bro. Now here's the thing. My favorite rapper of all time is Lil Wayne. I know for a fact that nigga he doesn't write. He don't need to write. Wayne is one of the greatest.
I ain't gonna lie though. The past few years, Gilly, he might need a writer. He might have needed a writer the past few years.
Don't forget what Gilly said. But Wayne, don't play with Wayne.
I'm just saying Wayne the past couple years hasn't really been like he's.
You ain't been listening to Wayne.
No. Wayne is great.
I don't have enough time on this podcast to properly
last couple
years.
Wayne's been.
He's one of the best worst rappers I've ever heard in my life.
That is insane. That is insane. Out of every rapper
he makes really good shit, but the output and the volume is crazy. He has so many shit.
That's the thing, though. His volume is so crazy. It's so crazy.
Wayne,
like some of his stuff is like Soulja Boy level
not
bars.
The same.
It's really Soulja Boy level bars. To keep it real.
It's not the same as when you talk about the volume. I feel you on that, but the worst volume I've ever seen came from NBA YoungBoy. So I don't want to hear that.
He ain't even in this conversation. I don't want to talk about him.
And NBA YoungBoy is a guy that I remember in like 8th grade when he first popped on the scene. Everybody, yeah, YoungBoy up next. He gonna be number one, and I'm like, yo, didn't he drop? Yes, is he gonna drop again tonight? Like how many? And it's like, because my thing was, I was like, it's the same shit. I hear the same thing every time with YoungBoy. There's certain songs that I like, obviously, but the majority of the songs genuinely sound the same. Silento, Murderento.
Watch me win.
Yeah, So anyway. This is a perfect way to wrap up the episode. This has been From the Logo, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, ZZ Huncho. You can find me at ZZ Huncho. The majority of my socials are that in some way, shape, or form. This was great. Love it. We'll see you guys on Thursday, and we'll
tap in on Sundays on playback. Tap in on playback Sundays. We're gonna be there. Gonna be a good time.
So Duke said ZZ7. I'm 22. Okay, I'm not that.
I'm 22. Violate you, bro.
He did. I get it though. When I say 8th grade, everybody's like, "Bro, what year is that?" 2016, bro. We was vibing. Everything was great. I was vibing.